Most people will live their entire lives without ever turning on their main generator. You think your sexual energy is just biology, but it is the fuel that bends reality. There are 3 levels of this force, and as long as you are on the first, you are not living. You are serving someone else's purpose. What I am about to show you was only passed in whispers inside the mystery schools. You are not supposed to find this out. The classification of these 3 levels was once the most guarded secret in the ancient world. In the mystery schools of Alexandria, initiates spent 7 years in silence before they were even told these levels existed. In the tantric lineages of Kashmir, the teaching was passed mouth to ear, master to student, never written down, never spoken aloud. And the reason for the secrecy was simple. A person who understands these 3 levels and knows how to move between them becomes ungovernable, uncontrollable, unstoppable. And every system of power, religious, political, economic, depends on keeping you locked at the lowest level. 90% of people alive today are on level 1. They will work, eat, sleep, scroll, and die without ever knowing they were 2 more floors above them. 9% will stumble into level 2, taste the power, get scared, and fall back down. And fewer than 1% will reach level 3, the level where the ancient masters lived, where reality stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you command. Today, I will show you all 3, not as philosophy, not as metaphor, as a diagnostic tool. By the 10-minute mark of this video, you will know exactly which level you are on, and by the end, you will have the exact blueprint to climb. Let us begin. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to try something. Look at your hands. Open your palms and look at them. Now ask yourself a question. Can you feel them? Not just see them, feel them. Can you feel the blood pulsing in your fingertips?
Can you sense the warmth, the tingling, the subtle aliveness radiating from your skin? If you feel nothing, if your hands feel like dead weight attached to your wrists, that is data. That is your body telling you something about your energy level right now. Now, try this. Think of a goal you have, something you want to build, to earn, to become. Hold that image in your mind and notice what your body does. Does your chest expand? Does your spine straighten? Do you feel a surge of heat or excitement rising from your center? Or is the image flat, like watching a movie behind glass? You can see it, but you cannot touch it. There is no charge behind it, no electricity, no pull. If the image is flat, if your body does not respond to your own vision, you are on level 1. Your generator is offline. And no amount of strategy, hustle, or positive thinking will change your results until you turn it back on. Now, a second check. Think about the last 3 days of your life. How many times did you give your energy away? And I do not just mean sexually. I mean every leak, every hour lost to a screen, every argument you did not need to have, every moment you spent worrying about something you cannot control, every time you ate food that made you heavy instead of sharp. Count the leaks. Most people, when they are honest, realize they have more holes in their vessel than vessel. Now, let us go level by level. Level 1 is the level of the open circuit. In electrical engineering, an open circuit means the current cannot complete its loop. The energy dissipates. It sparks. It is wasted as heat. That is exactly what is happening inside the body of a level 1 operator.
The energy is being produced. Your body never stops generating it. But it has no closed loop to travel through, so it leaks out through every available exit. Through the eyes glued to a screen, through the mouth running in empty conversation, through the genitals in unconscious release,
through the nervous system in chronic anxiety. The Indian yogis describe the level 1 state as 1,000 open windows in a house during a hurricane. The wind tears through and nothing stays. No warmth, no stillness, no accumulation. And here is what most people miss. Level 1 is not a personal failure. It is a design. The modern world is an energy extraction machine. It is built to harvest your attention, your arousal, your fear, your outrage, and convert all of it into profit for someone else. Look at the economics. The global pornography industry generates over $97 billion a year. Social media companies earn revenue from every minute of attention extracted from your nervous system. The processed food industry engineers products that bypass your body's satiation signals and keep you consuming. The pharmaceutical industry profits when your depleted body develops anxiety, depression, insomnia, and dysfunction. Every one of these industries depends on level 1 operators. They need you leaking. They need you empty, because an empty vessel is a consuming vessel. You buy to fill the void. You scroll to numb the ache. You release to escape the tension, and the cycle never breaks. Isaac Newton, one of the greatest minds in human history, the man who discovered the laws of gravity, invented calculus, split light into its spectrum, and rewrote our understanding of the universe. By all historical accounts, Newton died a virgin. He consciously avoided romantic and sexual relationships his entire life. Not out of fear, not out of inability, out of choice. Every ounce of his creative power was channeled into one stream. His circuit was closed. Every drop of fuel his body produced went into creation, not into leakage. Now here is how to know with certainty that you are on level 1. There are 5 markers. Marker 1, decision paralysis. You cannot choose. You stand before opportunities and freeze.
not because you lack intelligence, but because you lack the energetic charge required to commit. Decision requires fire. A depleted body cannot generate the conviction to say yes and mean it. Marker 2, invisible presence. You walk into rooms and nothing changes. People do not notice you. Conversations continue without pause. You are there, but you are not felt. Because the biofield, the electromagnetic signature your body emits, is weak. It has no reach. You are broadcasting static. Marker 3, creative drought. You have not had a genuinely original idea in months, maybe years. Your work is repetitive. Your solutions are borrowed. Your writing, your conversations, your thinking, all of it feels recycled. This is Jing deficiency, manifesting as cognitive flatness. The fuel that powers insight has been spent. Marker 4, the gravity of comfort. You know what you need to do, but you cannot make yourself do it. The couch wins, the screen wins, the snack wins. Not because you are lazy, because your willpower runs on the same fuel as your creative energy, and the tank is empty. You're trying to drive a car with no gasoline and blaming yourself for not moving. Marker 5, money repulsion. This is the most mysterious symptom and the most consistent. At level 1, money behaves strangely around you. Deals fall through, clients disappear,
Invoices go unpaid. Raises are denied. It feels personal, like the universe has something against you. But it is not personal. It is physics. Your depleted field is broadcasting a frequency of need, and need repels abundance, the same way two identical magnetic poles repel each other. If you recognize 3 or more of these markers, you are not broken. You are drained. And drained can be fixed. Everything I just described sounds mystical, but behind it is biology, and it is brutal. In 2003, a group of Chinese researchers at Zhejiang University published a study that is still cited in the scientific community.
They measured testosterone levels in men who abstained from ejaculation. Day 6, no change. Day 7, a testosterone spike to 145% of baseline. 145%. Not vitamins, not injections, just a body that was no longer being interfered with. Testosterone is not just a male hormone. It is the molecule of confidence, the molecule of risk, the molecule of action. When testosterone is high, you make decisions faster. You doubt less. You are ready for confrontation when necessary, and for creation when possible. When testosterone drops, those same markers I just listed appear. Decision paralysis, invisible presence, the gravity of comfort. This is not a coincidence. This is chemistry. But testosterone is only the beginning. Every time you watch pornography, your brain releases dopamine. A lot of dopamine. As much as cocaine produces, according to research from Cambridge University. But there is a problem. The brain is an adaptive machine. When you flood it with dopamine again and again, it starts to protect itself. It removes receptors. It makes you less sensitive to pleasure. This is called dopamine receptor downregulation. And here is what that means for your life. When receptors are suppressed, you need more and more stimulation to feel anything at all. Normal food tastes bland. Normal work feels unbearably boring. Normal relationships feel dull. You start seeking increasingly extreme forms of stimulation, and the gaps between them fill with gray emptiness. This is not depression. This is dopamine depletion. And millions of people right now are sitting in doctors' offices receiving a diagnosis of depression and a prescription for antidepressants, when the real problem is that they have burned out their reward system through uncontrolled stimulation. Dr. Anna Lembke from Stanford University, author of Dopamine Nation, describes this mechanism in detail. She explains that the brain works like a balance scale.
Pleasure and pain sit on opposite sides. Every time you slam the pleasure side down, unconscious release, pornography, overeating, mindless scrolling, the brain automatically compensates by pushing the pain side down. And after the brief high comes the crash, anxiety, irritability, emptiness. A person on level 1 lives in a constant cycle. Dopamine hit, crash, chase the next hit, deeper crash. They never escape the pit because every attempt to relax and relieve stress drives them deeper. Now imagine the reverse process. When you stop bombarding the brain with artificial dopamine spikes, the receptors begin to recover. Sensitivity returns. Suddenly, morning coffee tastes good again. A walk in the park brings pleasure again. A conversation with a friend feels like an event again. Work lights you up again. The world literally becomes brighter because your ability to perceive it has been restored. This is not mysticism. This is neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself, and all it requires is one thing: stop draining it. Now you know what science says. The ancient masters knew this thousands of years ago. They simply described it in a different language. Jing, prana, ojas. These were their words for biochemical processes that modern science is only beginning to map. Between level 1 and level 2, there is a door. But this door does not open with a key. It opens with a decision. A specific kind of decision that most people never make. It is not the decision to try. Trying is level 1 language. Trying means I will attempt this, but I have already prepared my excuse for when it does not work. The door opens with the decision to become. Not, I will try to conserve my energy, but I am someone who does not leak. Not, I will try to build something, but I am a builder. The identity shifts before the behavior changes. Mike Tyson, one of the most devastating boxers in history. His trainer, Cus D'Amato, established an iron rule: no sex before fights.
Tyson spoke about this openly in interviews. He said that during the years when he followed that discipline, when he contained the fire and directed everything into training and combat, he was unbeatable. 20 years, not a single loss. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. And then he broke the rule. The partying started, the women, the excess, and he started losing. Not because he became physically weaker, because the circuit opened. The fire that made him a god in the ring scattered in 1,000 directions. Tyson himself admitted it, publicly, on camera. He said he lost his power when he lost his discipline. This is not an interpretation. These are his own words. This is the ignition point. When the statement of who you are becomes louder than the evidence of who you have been. And in that moment, the circuit closes. The current begins to flow. Level 2 begins. Level 2 is the level of accumulation. The leaks are sealed. The energy that was spraying in every direction is now contained, building, pressurizing inside the vessel. The experience of entering level 2 is impossible to miss. In the first week, you feel it in your body before you can name it. Warmth in the lower abdomen, a restlessness that is not anxiety, but power searching for direction. A strange sensation that the air around you has thickened, that your personal space has expanded, that you take up more room than before. By the second week, other people notice before you do. Someone will say you look different. They cannot explain how. Your face has not changed. Your clothes have not changed. But something behind your eyes has shifted. They will say you seem more present, more solid, more real. By the third week, the mind begins to work differently. Not just clearer, but faster. You start seeing patterns in your work, in your relationships, in your finances. Patterns that were always there but invisible to your depleted brain. Solutions to problems you have wrestled with for months appear fully formed, as if they were waiting for you to have enough voltage to receive them. The ancient Egyptians had a word for this voltage. They called it Sekhem. In their art, it was depicted as a scepter held by the gods, a rod of concentrated power. The pharaoh who wielded Sekhem was said to reshape reality by decree. His words carried a force that made things happen, not because he was a god, but because he was full. His vessel was sealed and overflowing with directed life force. That is what level 2 feels like. You speak and things move. You decide and obstacles dissolve, not through magic, through the concentrated electromagnetic force of a human being operating at full capacity instead of on fumes. But level 2 has a trap, and I have watched people fall into it again and again. The trap is identification with the energy itself. You start to feel powerful.
And feeling powerful feels so good, especially after years of depletion, that you become addicted to the accumulation. You start hoarding energy. You withdraw from life. You avoid relationships, challenges, anything that might cost you a drop of this precious charge. You become a miser of energy instead of an investor. The Tibetan Buddhist teachers call this the golden chain. It is still a chain, even though it is made of gold. You escaped the prison of depletion only to build a new prison of hoarding. You are a battery that refuses to be plugged into anything. And the second trap is the ego explosion. 3 weeks of retained energy and suddenly you think you are above everyone else. You look at level 1 operators with contempt instead of compassion. You develop a spiritual superiority complex. The energy is high, but the heart is closed. Pythagoras, one of the greatest minds of the ancient world, mathematician, philosopher, founder of a school that changed Western thought forever.
He required his students to spend 5 years in complete silence and celibacy before they were granted access to his teachings. 5 years. Not because he was a tyrant, because he understood that a mind which has not learned to contain its own fire cannot receive the knowledge that fire can produce. Accumulation was not the goal, it was preparation. Fuel for a vessel that would then be directed into creating theorems, musical harmonies, philosophical systems that endure to this day. And that is the lesson of level 2. Accumulation is the launch pad. It is not the destination. You must learn to fly. Level 3 is the level of transmutation. This is where the operator stops being a battery and becomes a generator. The distinction changes everything. A battery stores energy and eventually runs dry. A generator creates energy continuously because it has learned to convert one form into another. Level 3 is the perpetual engine. It does not deplete because every output feeds back into the system as input. Mahatma Gandhi is perhaps the most documented example of level 3 operation in modern history. At the age of 37, Gandhi took a vow of brahmacharya, conscious celibacy. He wrote about it openly in his autobiography. He did not hide it or feel ashamed of this choice. He explained that conserving sexual energy gave him a strength of spirit that he called soul force, or satyagraha, the force that allowed one man without an army, without weapons, without money, to move an empire. Gandhi wrote, "I could not lead the life I lead and do the work I do without this discipline." This is not an interpretation. These are his own words in his own book. And notice what happened on the material level. Gandhi did not sit in a cave hoarding energy. He directed every drop of that retained force outward, into action, into speech, into organizing, into resisting an entire empire. He was not a battery. He was a generator. The more he gave, the more power flowed through him. This is the level 3 experience. You do not create from effort. You create from overflow. The energy is so dense, so concentrated, so alive inside you that it demands expression. It pushes through you like water through a cracked dam. You do not sit down to work and try to summon inspiration. Inspiration hunts you down and will not leave you alone until you give it form. The Sufi mystics called level 3 the state of fana, the annihilation of the small self, not because the person disappears, but because the petty concerns, the doubts, the self-consciousness, the constant monitoring of how am I doing, all of it burns away in the intensity of the creative fire. What remains is pure channel, pure instrument, pure transmission. and the effect on the material world is undeniable. At level 3, wealth does not trickle, it floods. Not because you chase it harder, but because every action you take carries a density, a weight, a magnetic charge that level 1 operators cannot comprehend. A single email written from level 3 closes the deal that 100 level 1 emails could not. A single conversation from level 3 lands the partnership, the investment, the opportunity. A single video recorded from level 3 goes viral, while 100 level 1 videos die in obscurity. Why? Because the audience, the client, the investor, they are not just processing your words, they are feeling your field. They are receiving your electromagnetic signature. And a level 3 signature is unmistakable. It carries the frequency of someone who does not need you to say yes, someone who is already full, someone who is offering from overflow, not begging from scarcity. Paramahansa Yogananda, the Indian mystic who brought yoga to the West, described this phenomenon. He said, "The advanced practitioner becomes ojas dominant." Ojas is the Ayurvedic term for the refined essence of sexual energy after it has been transmuted upward through all 7 energy centers. A person with high ojas has luminous skin, magnetic eyes, a voice that penetrates walls, and a presence that heals by proximity alone. Here I must stop and say something that almost no one says in these conversations. Everything you have heard so far might give the impression that sexual alchemy is a male topic. Retention, discipline, accumulation, these sound like male words for a male process. But this is the greatest misconception, and it is not accidental. Female sexual energy is not a reduced version of male energy. It is a different element entirely. If male energy is fire that needs to be contained and directed, then female energy is ocean that needs to be deepened and purified. The mechanics are different, the result is the same. In the tantric traditions of India, woman was not considered a student of alchemy, but its source. Shakti, the feminine creative force, was regarded as the primary energy of the universe. Shiva, the masculine principle, without Shakti, is a corpse. Literally. In the iconography, Shiva lies motionless, while Shakti dances upon him. Because without feminine energy, masculine energy has no movement, no direction, no life. In ancient Egypt, the priestesses of Isis were not decoration for the temple. They were its engine. They practiced the art of raising energy internally through breath, through dance, through conscious management of the menstrual cycle, which they called the lunar tide. And here is what this means practically. A woman at level 1 leaks differently than a man. For her, the primary leaks are not pornography. They are emotional giving without return. Relationships where she gives and gives until she is an empty shell, caring for everyone except herself, suppressing her own desires for the comfort of others. Thousands of small yeses said to others that were actually no's said to herself. Every such yes is a leak. Every moment a woman betrays her intuition in order to be convenient is a hole in the vessel. And society specifically trains women to be convenient, to be quiet, to be small, to not take up too much space. A woman at level 2 is a woman who has learned to say no, not out of anger, out of fullness. She has stopped giving her energy to everyone who reaches out a hand. She has learned to distinguish between those who come with an empty bucket, expecting her to fill it, and those who come with their own source and are ready to exchange. And a woman at level 3 is a force that cannot be ignored. Historically, every time a woman gained access to this level, systems of power responded with panic. Priestesses were declared witches, healers were burned, wise women were banished,
Not because they were dangerous to people, because they were dangerous to systems. A woman at level 3 does not need a savior, does not need a middleman between herself and God, does not need permission to be powerful. And without need, there is no control. The signs of level 3 in women differ from those in men. Where a man feels concentration and laser focus, a woman feels expansion. Her intuition becomes practically infallible. She knows who to trust before the person opens their mouth. She feels lies physically as pressure in the solar plexus. She sees through the masks people wear, and this is simultaneously her gift and her burden. And her magnetism works differently. Male level 3 magnetism is gravity. It pulls. Female level 3 magnetism is radiance. It illuminates. People near such a woman begin to see more clearly, make decisions more boldly, feel more alive. She does not take energy from the room, she adds to it. If you are a woman listening to this, know that this path does not require you to become a man. It requires you to become yourself, fully, unapologetically, without excuse. But the most important quality of level 3, the one that every tradition insists upon, is this: the fire must serve something larger than yourself.
The Taoist masters said that energy directed by ego creates a demon. Energy directed by love creates a sage. Both are powerful. Only one endures. If you reach level 3 and use the power to dominate, to manipulate, to hoard, the energy turns. It becomes corrosive. History is full of brilliant, powerful individuals who destroyed themselves because they had level 3 voltage running through a level 1 character. The fire consumed them from inside. But if you reach level 3 and direct the power toward creation, toward service, toward building something that feeds the world, the energy becomes self-renewing. Every act of creation generates more fuel. Every person you serve amplifies your field. Every honest transaction strengthens the circuit. This is the secret the ancient masters encoded in every tradition. The generator runs on generosity. The more you give from overflow, the more you overflow. Now you have the map. Let me give you the vehicle. Moving from level 1 to level 2, the 30-day seal. The first step is radical honesty. Take one day, just one, and track every single leak. Write it down. Every mindless scrolling session, every unnecessary argument, every time you ate without hunger, every unconscious release, every hour spent on content that added nothing to your life. Add it up. See the number. Let the shock of it motivate what comes next. Then begin sealing. For 30 days, you eliminate the 3 biggest leaks. Not all of them. That is too much change at once. The 3 biggest. For most people, those 3 are screen-based sexual stimulation, compulsive phone use in the first and last hour of the day, and emotional energy spent on people and situations you cannot change. Replace each leak with a charge. Replace the screen habit with 10 minutes of deep breathing with attention placed in the lower abdomen. Replace the morning phone scroll with 5 minutes of standing in silence with your eyes closed, feeling your feet on the ground. Replace the emotional leak with a physical outlet. 20 push-ups, a cold shower, a walk in silence. You are not adding complexity, you are redirecting the current. Same energy, closed circuit. But be ready for what happens. On the 3rd or 4th day, the body will revolt. This is not a metaphor. You will physically feel pressure, irritability, insomnia may appear, heat may appear. The mind will offer 1,000 reasons why you need to just relax. Just this once, it is only natural. Do not listen. That is not you speaking. That is the addiction. That is the dopamine system that has grown accustomed to constant stimulation and is panicking because the supply was cut off. This is a completely normal reaction, and it passes. There is a technique that helps in the moment of acute impulse. Stand up. Literally, get on your feet. Raise your hands above your head and stretch your entire body upward. Take 10 deep breaths through your nose, each time visualizing warmth rising from the lower body up through the spine to the crown of the head. Then, do 20 squats, fast, with full effort. By the 10th squat, the impulse will vanish. It physically cannot sustain itself when the large muscles of the body are activated. Blood is redirected. Energy moves. The crisis passes. By day 7, you will feel the first shift, a spike in vitality, a restlessness that is actually your power returning. By day 14, the fog will clear. By day 30, you will look in the mirror and see someone you barely recognize. The eyes will be different. The posture will be different. People will start asking what you changed. Moving from level 2 to level 3, the 60-day conversion. Once the vessel is sealed and the charge is building, you must aim it. Every morning after your breathing practice, write one sentence, not a to-do list, not a journal entry. One sentence that captures the single most important thing you will create today.
The one action that, if completed, would move your life forward more than everything else combined. And do it first, before email, before meetings, before the world gets its hands on your energy. Give the first and best hour of your day to that one thing. Work on it in silence if you can. No music, no distractions, just you and the work and the accumulated fire behind it. By the 3rd week of this practice, you will notice something strange. The work will begin to feel different. It will flow. Ideas will arrive unbidden. Words will arrange themselves. Problems that seemed impossible yesterday will have obvious solutions today. This is not talent. This is transmuted energy finding its target. By week 6, external results will start to appear. The right email will arrive. The right person will mention your name in the right room. The client who ghosted you 3 months ago will call back unprompted. These are not coincidences. These are resonance events. Your field has changed its frequency, and reality is updating to match. By day 90, you will not recognize your life. And more importantly, you will not recognize yourself. The person who started this protocol, the level 1 operator who was tired, foggy, broke, and invisible, that person will feel like a stranger, because the fire will have rewritten you from the inside out. I want to leave you with one image. Imagine 2 candles. One has been burning all night in a drafty room. The flame is barely visible, a thin blue flicker that could be extinguished by a whisper. That is level 1. Now imagine a candle inside a sealed lantern, protected from the wind. The flame is steady, golden, strong. It lights the room. That is level 2. Now imagine that same flame, but fed with an endless supply of fuel, growing so bright that it is no longer a candle. It becomes a furnace, a forge, a star. It does not just light the room. It warms everyone who comes near. That is level 3. The fire is already inside you. It has never gone out. It is the same fire that beat your heart this morning before you opened your eyes, the same fire that kept you alive
when you had every reason to quit. The only difference between you and the masters is not talent, not luck, not genetics. It is this: they stopped letting the wind blow their flame out. Write in the comments which level you are on right now. Be honest, and write one thing, one leak that you are sealing today. Make it public. Make it real. The fire is listening.